Well, good morning, Christ Universal Temple. I want to thank Reverend Derek for such a gracious introduction, and I also want to thank him, of course, for the invitation to come speak this morning. I also want to thank the Christ Universal Temple Board of Directors, ministerial and administrative staff, and of course you, the entire CUT congregation and family. Thank you. All of you have played such an integral role in all that I've been able to experience personally, and definitely all that I've been able to accomplish in my professional life as well. And of course, I want to say thank you and acknowledge my family. I think they're up in their regular balcony seat, yeah. All of my siblings are here today except my baby sister, Arlinda, who's in Washington, D.C. And of course, I want to thank my fabulous parents, Kevin and Julie Fair. They're not only my parents, they're my counselors, they're my role models, they're my confidants, and they are my best friends. So I want to say thank you. All right. So today my talk is entitled, It's All About Love. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. So you can see here on the screen, I have a picture of my friend, Billy Joel. And many music artists over time have taken the liberty to serenade their hometowns. Billy Joel came up with the song and blessed the Big Apple with the song New York State of Mind. Get the hang of it. All right. All right. And although this song was first performed by Liza Minnelli, the one and only Frank Sinatra is most associated with the legendary tune, New York, New York. Y'all know that song. Critics say that no song has captured the pride and the elegance of that city like this one. And they love to quote the lyrics of this song, that if I can make it here, then I'll make it anywhere. Another favorite of mine is when Jay-Z, the rapper, jumped into the hometown love fest and joined the ranks of New York love song swooners. With the popularity of Jay-Z's single, Empire State of Mind, the LA Times questioned whether or not Jay-Z was becoming like the new Frank Sinatra. They wanted to know whether that this New York hip-hop anthem could prove to be as universal and as timeless as some of the more traditional songs. But you know, hometown songs just don't end in New York, baby. We have the tradition right here in Chicago, and as you can see, we have Chicago's own Kanye West, who attempted to send love notes. Okay, we have Kanye fans here. Kanye attempted to send love notes to his beloved Chi-Town through this song in this video called Homecoming. But for me, I am an 80s baby. And as an 80s baby, it's the image of Joliet Jake and Elwood, the Blues Brothers, singing to thousands about our sweet home, Chicago, that is forever ingrained in my mind and forever ingrained in my heart. Christ Universal Temple, it's anthems and songs like these that allow artists and natives to take ownership in defining exactly what makes their city great, all of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But the key here is that they take the lead in branding and defining and labeling their cities for the country, for the ears and the audience of those listening across the globe. But it's unfortunate for us here in our beloved Chicago, because here the branding just ain't so sweet. It appears that the mainstream media has unfortunately beat us to the punch with being able to brand our Chicago. With controversial phrases like Chirac floating around, unfortunately, the persistence of violence with our youth has become the primary branding from Chicago. You go visit anywhere else and you mention you're from Chicago, that's one of the main things that people associate with it. So here in our Chicago, it seems that no good is being reported. Only the bad and only the ugly. But as a native Chicagoan who grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I'm currently working with girls in schools and communities and families on the south side, are we having some dire challenges in our communities? Absolutely. I won't argue about that at all. But by and large, I'm not going to see my Chicago as ugly. So for the last couple of years or so, I've been on a personal campaign through my work with Polished Pebbles to reclaim the branding of our Chicago. I want to make sure that I tell stories about the Chicago that I know, and the Chicago that many of you all know as well. Daily, in my Chicago, it involves meeting and working with people who are willing, who are wanting, who are waiting to be inspired and waiting to be engaged and instructed on how to exactly take action to reverse this crisis with youth violence here in our Chicago. And more importantly, daily, when I'm in my Chicago working and meeting all these people, they are all ready to spread love. My point today, Christ Universal Temple, is that the young people and the girls that I work with in our communities are in need of love today more than anything else. And CUT, if we are to see the kind of positive transformation that we need to see, we as active community members, we as true students have to be equipped to give our young people exactly what they're calling out for, and that's love unconditionally. For me, my understanding about the importance and transformational power about love started right here with this book, written by one of my favorites, Susan Taylor, the former editor of Essence magazine, and she also started her own national mentoring movement. This book she titled, I think it came out back in 2008, is called It's All About Love. 7 years ago, I decided to walk away from my really nice and successful corporate job in educational publishing. I was working in education. I felt like I was having some impact, but however, I felt like God was directing me elsewhere, that my purpose was drawing me somewhere else. And this book really helped me do it. And so as I was making my search for this next step in my career, in my life, I was blessed with this book. And in the book, there is an entry about the importance of relationships. And in the book, Susan says, relationships are so critical to helping us grow as individuals. She had this wonderful, perfect quote that knocked my socks off. And it said, like pebbles in a bag, we all polish one another. And there you have it. I was so inspired by this book, so inspired by this quote, Polished Pebbles Girls Mentoring Program was born. And essentially in Polished Pebbles, that's what we do every week. We get together with our girls, our volunteers, our mentors, and we polish each other for excellence. Since 2009, we have served well over 1,000 girls on Chicago's South Sides and West Sides. Through 40 different Chicago public schools, University of Chicago charter schools, and through many Chicago Housing Authority communities. And I have to pat myself on the back because that's what we do here at CUT. When we're loving ourselves, we've been doing a pretty good job at it. After completing our program, thank you, 100% of the girls represent and report that they have improved abilities to deal with conflict resolution and anger management. They are exceeding standards in communication and problem solving. After working on this project for almost 6 years, we have those who are interested in piloting Polished Pebbles in other states and also in South Africa. And quite frankly, expanding the work of what we do with Polished Pebbles and other youth programs throughout the city of Chicago is exactly what we need to do. And it's so critical when you look at all the different things that young people, and particularly girls, have coming at them all at once. So if you look at this, this is a cover of Vibe magazine from a couple of years ago. 4 women on the cover, and 4 of them are all reality TV stars that were really popular at that particular time. But if you look at the cover, it actually says in gray, the cover title is Meet Your New Role Models. Now that stopped us and that scared the mess out of me. Because if you've watched it, you don't even have to watch it. If you've seen a commercial, you heard the water cooler gossip, you know that on reality TV shows, they get turned up. And they get all the way live. But the problem is, it's predominantly females. It's predominantly young women. It's predominantly young women of color. It's predominantly young black women. Shown as loud, obnoxious, prone to bad relationships with other women, prone to bad relationships with men as well. So, if you don't think that our kids need some more love and support, this is some proof right here. As an educator, I know that there are certain things that every young person needs, and you guys do too. The primary colors are one of the things that every young person should know, right? The red, the orange, the blue, the green, the yellow. But after talking to one of the teachers in one of our partnering schools, she shared with me that she had the kids do an activity. She gave them a box of crayons. She said, today I want you guys to draw pictures that describe how you're feeling. What's your mood for today? And so, unfortunately, every kid should know the regular primary colors, but guess what? These are the primary colors that our young people know. Not the red, the green, the orange, the yellow. Only three: red, black, and blue. And I'm sure you can guess what those colors stand for when it comes to emotions. Black stands for darkness, red stands for anger, and blue stands for sorrow. How devastating is that any child on a given day, the majority of them are feeling this way? But I knew when she was telling me the story, she was telling me the truth, because I've seen it. Out of all these young girls that I've worked with, I can't tell you how frequently a lot of them will come up to me and say, you know, Miss Kelly, you know I got anger issues, girl. You know, I'm bipolar. Wearing anger management needs and bipolarism like a badge of black womanhood. What has happened? What has happened? So obviously, these young people are lacking proper nurturing, lacking proper love, and we can have another seminar about their parents, but the reality is their parents are probably lacking the same things too. Want to know why there's so much youth violence in Chicago? Here's your root cause right here. So these are not ruthless animals that the media may have us believe. They are in actuality extremely vulnerable little kids who are definitely in need of love. Need more proof that we need more love and that it's all about love? I got some from a commercial on MSNBC with one of my favorite political affairs hosts, Melissa Harris Perry. I love her, love her, love her. All right, so in this commercial, Melissa asked the viewing audience, all of us, to imagine that day when you have to go to a really early morning work meeting, that seminar session, and guess what? You're sitting there in the room, it's cold air conditioning, but you didn't eat breakfast today. You didn't get that cup of coffee today, and you know what I'm talking about. Trying to listen to a boring speaker or your boss without, breakfast and without your cup of coffee is a tough one. We've all been there. But in that moment, Melissa asked us to freeze. And now imagine, you're not an adult anymore. You're a 6-year-old sitting in a math class. And you didn't have breakfast either. Not because you missed it, not because the Starbucks line was too long, but because there was no food in your house. How are you supposed to focus on math computations? How are you supposed to focus on learning when you're hungry? More proof. Lack of nurturing, lack of love, lack of support, and sometimes our kids are lacking the most vital resources necessary for life and survival. So at Polished Pebbles, because we work mostly with girls, we've been kind of on our own little campaign in the last couple of months as well. And we are kind of calling it and going around telling people it is time to address the other side of the crisis. So much attention has been given to the plight and the crisis going on with low-income urban black boys in the country's inner cities. And rightfully so. I don't complain. I don't bark about that one bit. You know what I'm talking about. It's President Obama's, My Brother's Keepers, all these different movements like that. And rightfully so. They're doing the good work. But the problem is girls growing up in these same neighborhoods, facing the same threats of violence, having the same issues in schools, and unfortunately, The crisis that's going on with black adolescent girls is going on largely unaddressed. So as a means for survival, because we ain't paying attention to them, the girls have pretty much adopted a street code to protect themselves. They got to protect their respect, protect their security, and at the same time protect their status. So we've all sadly seen the girls who don't know any other means but physical fighting and aggression to kind of just represent who they think they are in the world. We just seen the home is not a refuge from this because they got all the reality TV and all the things that the media is pumping out about black women and all that negativity. But guess what? They can't even go to school and catch a break. Listen to this research. Current school research shows that increases in suspension was greatest for black girls. Not black boys, but for black girls, then followed by black males. Black girls continue to be disproportionately overrepresented among girls in confinement and court-order placement. That school to prison pipeline, not just for the boys anymore. Move aside, the girls are getting there as well. They're significantly overrepresented among girls who experience zero-tolerance exclusionary discipline, like out-of-school suspensions, expulsions, and punishments. CUT, grab your seats. You got to hear this. Black girls are over-suspended, they are over-disciplined, and over-expelled. Listen to these stats. Black girls are over-suspended. Nationally, black girls are suspended 6 times more than white girls. In large cities like Boston and New York, black girls are 10 to 12 times more likely to be suspended than white girls. Over-disciplined black girls are 10 to 12 times more likely to be over-disciplined than white girls, and this is the biggie. Being over-expelled, kicked out of school. In cities like Boston and New York, black girls are 53 times more likely to be expelled from school than white girls. 53 times. The school to prison pipeline is not just for black boys anymore. Unfortunately, it's for our girls as well. And so here's the deal. That was a lot of heavy stuff. But here at Christ Universal Temple and in truth, we know that facts can change. With faith, facts can change. And we have the power to make it happen. How do I know? Because I'm a Johnny Coleman baby. I know because I am a youth expressing Christ. And because it was here at Christ Universal Temple, learning truth lessons, learning about the Christ within me, learning and receiving from so many teachers and mentors in this congregation that I changed from this little shy girl with them glasses who was too afraid to say a doggone thing to being able to stand before you today to talk about the work that I do today. Now, I mentioned I have a great family, so I had great support networks, great love, and all those different things. But I, like most girls in 6th grade, my self-esteem took a nosedive. That's what the research says. So that little girl who was happy to answer all the questions in class in 3rd and 4th and 5th grade and let you know how smart and how dope I was, kind of took a nosedive in 6th grade. Was too worried about if I was going to trip and fall on my way to answer the question in class, if my pressing curl was going to poof out, my clothes weren't nice enough. If the boy said this about me, then that girl was going to say something. So I just kind of sat, and like I tell kids most of the time, I punked out. I hid out for a long time. But I'm telling you, Christ Universal Temple, mentoring changed my life. I was able to change the fact of feeling like I was a shy girl and recognize my true identity because of mentoring. These women here, I have been working since I was 13 years old. And that's because, not because Julie Fair put me to work, but I've been working since I was 13 because I wanted to be an Essence lady. I grew up flipping through the pages of Essence magazine. I wanted to be an Essence women because they were wonderful moms like my mother. They were great career women. They had dope clothes and families and all that. I was like, I gotta be an Essence lady, so that means I need a job. And so I got my first job at Dudley's Beauty College. from one of my mentors that's here on this screen. In high school and college, they gave me the tools and the know-how and the advice and the love and the support to see who I truly was. And she's sitting right here, a Christ Universal Temple member, and that is Betty Clausen. Hey, Miss Clausen. The Reverend said you're supposed to stand up, Miss Clausen. She's been at Dudley's Beauty College forever. Taking some of my mentees on and mentoring them as well in hair care, because I wanted to be a cosmetologist when I was 13. I was convinced of it. So thank you, Ms. Clausen. So mentoring changed my life, and I'm sure it's changed the lives of many of you guys in here. So when I started thinking about what we would do with Polished Pebbles, I said, let's do what we know works. Mentoring works, and for me, career development worked. And so all these people here in our community have been willing to love, but I want to see if the business community was willing to do the same thing. So what do? We do what works. We created the Polished Pebbles Signature Career Mentoring Initiative. In this initiative, girls as young as 7 years old up to 17 years old get a chance after participating in our sessions to get mentored by some of the employees, by some of the businesses that you see up here. They go down to their places of business or their stores, they do store tours, learn about career opportunities. In addition to that, they do their first day of work. So they job shadow, they do marketing presentations. They're doing the work, and I'm so thankful that it's not just us sitting in this room, it's people from the business community who are willing to love on our young people the same way. And it works. Now these two little cookies up here, they're cookies and sugar buns to me today. However, when we get in the session, they are exactly everything that the media says about black girls. They showed that, right? It's a lot of what many of us think about those kids. So-and-so's kids, today's kids. Rough, tough exteriors, seeming like they got nasty attitudes, lazy, don't want to do it. So who would not want to go to Bloomingdale's for a job shadow and get out of school for a field trip? That's like a no-brainer. My little cookies up here. So we were sitting in the session, and we were preparing for the trip, and they said, oh, we ain't going on that. And so I have Julie Fair in me that just comes out, and I almost sometimes want to jump over a table and snatch a kid. And so I went in like right away. And I said, what you mean you're not going? We got a party to go to that day, and I don't have clothes, and I can't. And 1,000 girls later, I hear that differently. 1,000 girls later, I see and I hear with love instead of judgment. And what I knew I was hearing and I knew I was seeing was fear, F-E-A-R. Too afraid. Never been to Bloomingdale's, what is that? Never maybe been down to town, what is that? What is that like? I don't have clothes. And so I pulled them to the side, had a little conversation, and I said, you better be here tomorrow. And guess what? They came. But they came and they called me the night before. I said, I don't have clothes. What can you do? My shoes are too short. My this, fear. I said, I got you. You can wear my clothes. I got you. You can wear my shoes. I'm not allowing them to punk out. And you know what? They showed up. They were there early. Supposedly they had a party to plan that day, right? Not. They were there early and on time because we showed up and we showed them love. We showed them that they can be trusted, that we can be trusted, and that we're there honestly and sincerely to nurture and support them. And when you do that, they will walk through the doors. They will take that risk. So we're continuing to take risks with Polished Pebbles. Here you see we're looking on connecting our girls with girls in South Africa so they can continue to work on their communication skills with girls that look like them, talk like them, feel like them, same experiences, but on the other side of the world through their computer. With Polished Pebbles, shoot, I mean, how dope is it to rub shoulders with the First Lady of the United States of America? Our Polished Pebble didn't even get a chance to do that, and so we're continuing to look to grow opportunities to do that and also take girls to the college campuses. But for me, it is all about love, and it's because of the mentors and the teachers right here in this room. It's because of Cynthia and Cheryl when I was a Johnny Coleman baby. It's because of Blanche in 5th grade and Peggy, who was the superintendent of the Sunday school. Tony Shaw, Helen Lee, and Olivia Shelton, our YEC mentors. The congregation that when I started Polished Pebbles, women would just walk up to me and crush $20 and put it in my hand. It bought granola bars, it paid for copies, it did the things that we needed to do. The 3 young lions, I don't know if they can still call you guys young lions, but Reverend Derek and Reverend Galen and Reverend Roderick, who provided advice, encouragement, and strategy to me. Reverend Carey, who showed me what being a spiritual professional looks like in the church and anywhere else that you go. And of course, the incomparable Walter Robinson, who taught me the art of negotiation, making a 5-minute meeting last an hour and a half. With Walter, corporate America couldn't throw anything at me. And of course, all of us are able to love more because of the love showed to us by our founding minister, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. It didn't mean anything if you got to meet with her every day or you were only mentored by her through her books and through her sermons. She was a dynamic and had an electric energy that made you just want to be powerful, bold, and dynamic just like her. Why am I a mentor? Because of all of you and because of Johnny Coleman and because of her love that she shared to us. Because of Johnny and the love she shared with us through truth, how many devastating old habits were dropped. Because of Johnny Coleman and the love that she shared with us, how many toxic relationships were released and new healthy ones were actualized. Because of the love of Johnny Coleman, how many dreams were accepted, manifested, and realized. How many successful businesses were started. How many people did she help that nobody even knew about? And we learned about that at our transition service. About 30, 35 people talked about all that she did. And she did it at a time where there was no social media. You couldn't take a picture, do a selfie, check in, and let anybody else know the love that you were sharing. She did it with nobody knowing because that was what God told her to do. A pastor friend of mine, Will Hall, says the measure of growth is based on how consistently you love. So how consistently are we loving each other? How consistently are we loving our young people? You got to ask yourself that. Another quote from Reverend Coleman that I love is, she said, grow we must. So to me, that means love we must. Young people, you got to love other younger people. Mentor them. They need to know what bullying is about, how to fight girl drama. Love yourself to do the schoolwork and do the work that these young ladies right here exhibited that they're doing. Loving yourself is key. And finally, how do we, as community members, as true students, as CUT congregation members, demonstrate love? We could feel largely ill-equipped. We don't have kids. I don't know what to do, this, that, and the other. It's basic and simple. Anybody can do. Mentoring in an established program like Grow Power, the program that inspired me. Mentoring a young person that lives on your block or in your building. Help an organization, school, or cause further their impact and build capacity. Donate. Spread the word in your networks. Judge less. Stop judging that girl who's on the cash register at Popeyes. She's what one of my mentors told me. ABT, ain't been taught. But when you smile at her, when you tell her good morning, when you tell her thank you, you are teaching her what love and action looks like. So as I close, I'm not going to fake that loving is easy. It's hard to love people in your family. It's hard to love your significant other. It's hard to love people on your job. At times, it could be even challenging to love some of these young people, no matter how much they need it. But since we're talking about love songs, I thought, let me find some love songs that can keep us on track when it comes to consistently being committed to love. And so I had to go to Stevie Wonder, the songs in the key of life. And I thought, what better motivation than love is in need of love today? What a great love song. And then the greatest love song that he had on that same album is Have a Talk with God. What better love conversation can you have but with the power of God that dwells within you? So after you have your talk with God, I'm sure that he'll reassure you that no matter who, no matter what is going on, no matter when, no matter where it is, and no matter what young person and how unlovable they may seem to be, In fact, it is all about love. Thank you, Christ Universal Temple.